Fan, Upstate.
Tolos, do you realize how lucky you are? How lucky Cole and I are? Because we get not one, but two championship series game ones on back-to-back nights. Last night, we had the Carolina Hurricanes getting out early and then falling behind to the Las Vegas Golden Knights, who I said, Cole, there ain't no chance. This is a bum team. They're a bunch of schlubs. There's no way they're beating these Carolina Hurricanes. They're just too gritty on defense. And then, 5 goals later, Las Vegas is up 1-0 in the series. And tonight, we get NBA Finals Game 1, New York versus San Antonio. Let's go.
I thought you were going to say, do the Tolos know how lucky they are that they get you and I every day? I thought that's what you were going to say. I thought that's where you were going to go, but if that's not where you're going to go, I mean, we'll save that for another day. I'll write that down, and we can put that on tomorrow's.
I guess it depends on whichever Tolo you talk to. Like that Tolo that texted in yesterday, he's probably wishing that we would get off the radio, or at least I would get off the radio because he called me a dumbass.
On a Tuesday,
I hadn't forgot about that.
Don't forget about it. Don't forget about it. Do not do it. But yes, NBA Finals tonight. I'm excited. I really am. I told you Monday. I'm glad that we have. I know we've had new teams over the last 8 years, but this finals intrigues me more than, let's say, if Oklahoma City were in it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you got some repeatability, some a team that was on the rise and had already won a title, and now that's been shaken up for the young guy, for Victor Wembanyama, 2 years into the league, 7'4". You just heard the promo guy talking about it in the last segment. What would Michael Jordan have been able to do against a guy like Victor Wembanyama that's 7'4" and has the moves that he has? Yeah. But, this is an exciting time, man. And I hadn't looked at the schedules through the entire final championship series, but I hope that we get back-to-back NHL Stanley Cup finals and NBA finals, back-to-back nights through the entire playoffs. I don't know if these two leagues are colluding and getting together, but they should, Cole. They should figure out a way to make these back-to-back nights so that every night you have a championship game on the line.
Yeah, something that matters. Late postseason game, that matters. And, ESPN, they've got a bunch of crews live in San Antonio right now. One of the crews is there right now on RTV, on ESPN with Kendrick Perkins and some few others. What is it? Is it Riverwalk? Riverwalk downtown San Antonio, Diesel. I was in downtown San Antonio when I didn't go to the game, but I was there when the Heat played at the Spurs back in 2012, maybe something like that. My years run together.
Were you a teenager back then?
I was a teenager. I was.
I didn't expect you to say yes.
Yes, I was. And when the Heat were in town in San Antonio, I'll tell you this: even if you're not an NBA fan, you get those fan bases together that have so much pride and tradition and history and enthusiasm. This is going to be a fun matchup, just like it was when you had San Antonio and Miami, right? Those years when LeBron was in Miami and Tim Duncan and those Manu and all those guys were in San Antonio. You've got two fan bases in San Antonio, a huge fan base, and New York. This is a fun matchup, and even if you're not an NBA fan, I think you can turn one of these games on. Even if you hate and despise the NBA, I think you can find something that you might enjoy in these.
I love that the Spurs fan base, and to your point about the Heat fan base, the Spurs fan base, the Knicks fan base is one of these as well, and there's a half a dozen more of them across the league. They kind of hold a similarity to something I didn't get a chance to bring up when we were talking South Carolina baseball and whether or not Kevin Schnall should take the job. And people have said, South Carolina's down. And people said for a while, San Antonio's down. Their run is over. It's going to be a long time before another Popovich comes along and makes the Spurs relevant again. I think, Cole, there are those types of fan bases and those types of teams who can instantly reactivate their fan bases to the nth degree once they find that success again, right? Like, South Carolina's down the dumps in baseball, and they have been for a couple of years now. But South Carolina has a baseball fan base that even though they're jilted, they're hurt, they've been kicked around, spit on, made fun of across the league, and people celebrated and danced on the grave of that program. As soon as they find the right guy to come into that job and they find success, it's going to be Superfly TNT, Guns of the Navarone all over again. Yeah. Because those fan bases know how to activate quickly.
It's 2014 was the last time the San Antonio Spurs won the NBA Finals. Obviously, Pop was the coach. They beat the Miami Heat in 5 games that year. Kawhi Leonard was Finals MVP. You talk about a blast from the past. That's only 12 years ago, but it feels like forever ago. I remember watching those finals. I remember the excitement around them, and they lost the year before. You remember in 2013 to the Miami Heat, and the year before that, Miami Heat beat the Thunder. So the Spurs, they under Pop, they were there, right? They were there, and they won in 2007. They won in 2005, and they were a dynasty from that 2004 to 2013 era until they just got old and aged out. But look at the gap, though, Diesel. 2014, they won the NBA Finals. 15, the Warriors won it. 16, the Cavaliers won it. Warriors in 17, 18. The Raptors in 19. Lakers in 20. Bucks in 21. Golden State again in 2022. Denver 23. Boston 24. Oklahoma City last year. It's been a long time. So to your point, this is a fan base they're a proud fan base. They're big in San Antonio, but it's been 12 years. 12 years isn't as long as I've suffered as a Cowboy fan, 30 years since we've been to a conference championship game. But 12 years, I think most people start losing hope, Diesel. But look, it took them 12 years to get back, and now they kind of look like they might be rolling into dynastic form again.
And I love San Antonio as a sports town, right? Because it's not Dallas. It's not Houston. It's not one of these major markets that you expect them to have 2, 3, or 4 of the major U.S. sports in. You got one team that is the team in the city of San Antonio. I would compare it to Raleigh with the Canes, and now they certainly haven't had the same amount of championship success that the Spurs had and have had over the course of their existence. But I love those towns, the ones that have one major sports team that everybody gets behind, everybody rallies behind. That's why I push so hard. I know it would never happen, but that's why I push so hard. It's like, hey, let's get some NHL right here in Greenville, South Carolina. The Greenville Reapers, the South Carolina Reapers. Let's get that because the city of Greenville would embrace it in a way, even though we got a lot of Tolos who'd be like, I'd never pay attention to that. I'd never go see it. Fix the roads first. I mean, the cities that have just one major team really get behind it.
It's a city versus a state in the NBA Finals, right? You talk about a city of San Antonio versus the entire state of New York, 1.5 million Diesel versus 8.5 million. Obviously, the New York fan base is massive. And in Texas, look, there's people that are split. You mentioned Dallas. You've got Dallas Mavericks fans, right? And then you've got Houston and San Antonio, and it's it is a split state. And I'll tell you this, from being out there, every city in the state of Texas feels like a different state, country. I mean, every city's different. Doesn't matter if they're close, far away. San Antonio, it's going to be a lot of fun. I do love the fact that you've got a new emerging young star in Victor that feels like, we bounced this idea around a couple of times and who would be the face of the NBA, whether it be, Giannis or Anthony Edwards or whoever, but it feels like this guy, not to project him into a category he should not be, but with the size and what he's doing and the way he's getting better, I mean, what's to stop this guy over the next decade? It could be scary.
Yeah, that's true. And, when we had our NBA guest Brett Siegel on earlier this week, I asked him, how much eye rolling he's doing at the Wemby GOAT conversations. And he said, to be honest, I haven't heard any of that. I've heard multiple big time sources, not calling him the GOAT already. That's ludicrous, right? But the projection that Victor Wembanyama could go on to be the GOAT of the NBA, obviously a long career in front of him. He's just made for the finals for the first time, but hey, he made the finals twice as fast or in half the time that LeBron made the finals. And we'll see if he makes it in his first time, 2 years into the league, and wins a title in his first season. That skyrockets, that launches that debate into immediate legitimacy, even though it's not a legitimate conversation yet.
I want to ask you this question. When it comes to San Antonio or New York, if you're going, I give you a 4-day vacation. You only get 2 choices, 2 places to choose from, San Antonio or the entire state of New York.
Ooh.
Where are you going? And hey, the agenda is food.
Oh, I'm going to Texas.
Okay,
I'm going to
Texas.
San Antonio? I lived in New York for a couple of months. I did an internship in New York. It's fun for a little while.
And Coney Island hot dogs.
Yeah, well, enough rats on the subway tracks, enough trash laying around everywhere. New York is a filthy city.
Oh yeah,
it really is. It's disgusting.
There are nice places of the state outside.
Sure, there are.
I think I'd choose San Antonio too.
But it's still a city where people put their trash on the sidewalk and wait for a truck to come and get it. Come on. It's 2026. I know these buildings are old and historic, but we got to have a better system than that.
But food-wise, you choose San Antonio?
1,000%.
You like Tex-Mex?
Just for the brisket.
Well, San Antonio is a little more on the Tex-Mex side. But you can still, I'm sure you can still find good brisket.
You got me. I'm going to Texas no matter what. Mm-hmm. Again, I've experienced New York.
He's choosing Texas.
Don't have a okay.
No, I did.
Okay.
No. I just said you're choosing Texas. That's all I said.
Okay. What's that singer's name again?
Ella Langley. I just said
Langley.
You're choosing Texas. All I said.
Yeah, well,
that's all I said.
There's a lot of people who have misheard the lyrics of that song.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Lyrics. There's lyrics in the song.
Think about, Cole, of all the great Knicks players, though, that have come through that city, come through that team that never won a title. This is for Patrick Ewing. This is for Carmelo Anthony. This is for Charles Oakley. This is for Willis Reed. This is for Bernard King. All these all-time great players that wore that New York Knicks jersey that never won anything.
Yeah, they've won 2. Think about that. That proud franchise has only won 2. And I say only. There's a lot of teams that would want to win 1, but they've only won 2 championships in franchise history. Think about that.
Yeah.
70 and 73. And that's been a long time. Been a long time since it was 1970 and 1973. So the Spurs, they might not be as proud and the big of a fan base, but they've got more championships than the Knicks do. I mean, that's crazy. The Knicks are compared to the Cowboys when the fan base and all these other big franchises. And for them, I mean, it's been a long time since they've tasted success.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing, Cole, that this thing is getting underway in San Antonio. Game 1's in San Antonio, right?
And 2, yep.
So, I mean, the city of New York is going to be a war zone for the next 10 days, 14 days. There's going to be lawless little children running around the streets. I don't know if you saw this. The mayor of New York City suspended all curfews for little kids in New York. And kids in New York are different, man. Like little kids in here, like a 10-year-old is helpless. Mm-hmm. A 10-year-old is helpless and cries for his mommy anytime mommy gets out of his field of vision. But in New York, little kids are getting on the subway by themselves. They're going down to the bodega, ordering a breakfast sandwich by themselves. Like little kids in New York City are a different breed.
Yeah, they're used to it. I'll tell you this. I do wonder when you talk about this matchup, the Spurs and the Knicks, a franchise that hasn't seen success in a long, long time in the New York Knicks. And we talked about this with Brett Siegel on, what was it, Monday? On Monday's show. By the way, Brett Siegel, in case you did miss it, you can go back and find it on our website, thefanupstate.com. I just wonder when you look at the matchup, I think that there are a lot of other good players, and we'll see that tonight, Diesel. But I just think it comes down to sometimes the simplicities. Who's going to guard him? Who's going to stop him? You know, and I'm not saying that he's like this unstoppable force, because you talked about this a couple of weeks ago. He's had bad games. He doesn't play great in every game. And hey, superstars, Chuck and Shaq got into an argument about this the other day. Superstars don't always show up. They have off nights. They have bad nights. Now they have more good nights than bad nights, but
you don't remember superstars because of their consistency.
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron is known for his consistency, but most superstars, you remember them for moments.
Yep.
Not night in, night out. He gives 25 points and 11 rebounds.
In 7 games. My question is, in 7 games, how do you stop Wemby in 7 games? And I'm not saying like this. Here's what
you got to hope he stops himself.
Yeah, and people have said, well, Cole, the Spurs have lost games this year. Yeah, they have, but let me throw this at you. They've only lost 20 games. Think about that. They've only lost 20 times since October. That's not a lot of losses. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're unbeatable, but they're in a stride. The cast of characters around Victor's playing really well. I love Jalen Brunson a lot for New York. I love Jalen Brunson. But this team, and by the way, they've only lost 8 games in San Antonio, and they're in San Antonio tonight. The more I think about it, I'm leaning San Antonio in this matchup.
Well, history is on the Knicks side. Not that this has a tremendous amount of effect, or any effect, really. Let's be real. But history is not on San Antonio's side. 24 times in the NBA playoff history. This is not just a final stat, just all playoffs. Have 2 teams matched up where one swept and one went to 7 in their respective previous series. In those 24 instances, the team that swept and rested are 20-4. 20-4. Yeah. But none of those teams had Victor Wembanyama on them.
Yeah, and that matters. I mean, it does.
I know. It's like,
it does matter.
Does this buck the trend?
And guess what? He's a guy that's capable of doing that. By the way, mind you, at only 22 years old. Yeah. We're talking about how good he is and how dominant. And, a lot of it has to do with his physicality and his size. But you just don't see a lot of these guys, creatures in the NBA. That's what it looks like. It's some giant creature that you don't see often. And you see a lot of athletic players. But, man, it does feel like if he were to win this one, it could be his league. And I cannot wait for it.
Do you feel, because let's be real, a 7'4" freak of nature, the way that he is, his size, it's tough on joints, it's tough on your body to be that size. Do you think there's any extra urgency, not necessarily from Victor because he's just such a calm guy, but urgency to win a title early?
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee that you're going to have a 15-year injury-free career. These guys get hurt all the time when they're this size.
Ooh, yes, there's always the urgency, and I'll tell you why. There have been a lot of good players over the course of the NBA, like Karl Malone, like Charles Barkley, that have never won an NBA championship. And yes, while we're talking about how great this guy could be, Allen Iverson was one of the best players I ever saw in my eye, ever. Ever. I mean, there weren't many better. There have been many of those guys like that never won an NBA championship. So, yeah, he's got all the potentials out there, but what the reality of it is, what you just said, there's a lot of players that don't win championships, and just like we talk about in the NFL, you're not guaranteed anything. You don't know what's going to happen 4 or 5 years from now. You don't know what's going to happen to the rest of the team.
And you're not guaranteed that, let's say you are an all-time great player, a transcendent player. There's no guarantee that your team will ever trade you. Like in the NBA, I know there's more player movement,
ask Luke.
Freedom, and than in other places. But I mean, there's a whole bunch of Mike Trouts too, who have been sort of marooned,
and Chris Paul,
in a city that never is going to give them what they need to go chase a title for real. And you can have an all-time great player and say this guy on paper was talented, just as talented as others. And what would it have been like if Mike Trout was a Brave, or if Mike Trout was a Yankee, or if Mike Trout was a Dodger? He could be a completely different kind of player. And some players just play their entire careers in a location. Maybe they love it. Maybe Myles Garrett was feeling like he was on this trajectory to be one of those types of players and said, I don't want to be that guy.
Well, think about it like this. When Chris Paul came into the NBA, every NBA analyst probably would have made any dollar monetary bet. Chris Paul, one of the best point guards ever. Yeah, that guy won a championship. That guy will win a championship.
Yeah.
He played in the NBA for how long?
It's how many is he going to win?
21 years. He played in the NBA for 21 years. You know how many championships he won? 0. So think about that. That guy, Chris Paul, is a great example. You mentioned Mike Trout. He's been kind of stuck, like you said, in the mud. But Chris Paul played for 7 different NBA franchises.
Somehow he found a way, Cole, to play for a few really good franchises that did go
really
on
good
to win titles, just not while he was there. But he also got traded to a lot of stinkers. I mean, come on. you also have to say, hey, Chris, why did you agree to go be a New Orleans Hornet? Why did you agree to go be a Phoenix Sun? You're never going to win titles in those cities.
Yeah, but you think about, well, Phoenix was good that year. They have Devin Booker. But I will say, you talk about a 21-year career. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and I hate it for guys like that. Karl Malone's the same way. I mean, that guy.
The mailman.
Yeah, people talk about him as one of the best players ever. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
He didn't win a title, and we all know that Charles Barkley didn't. So he gets a lot of crap for it. Karl Malone was in the NBA for 19 seasons and never won an NBA championship. So to your point, it's tough. And yes, do you feel urgency? You better, because if you don't, what are you doing? Even though you feel like this guy's going to be good for a really long time, if you don't feel urgency right now, you better, because you've got a really good team. You've got a really good coach. Yes, the New York Knicks are hot. It just feels like they are hot. They hadn't lost a game, and hell, they're hot. Mitchell Robinson, breaking news. He did participate in practice on Tuesday, and he will be available for tonight's game, so that's big. I still think San Antonio, when you look at that guy, that tall guy, if he dictates the game, a Diesel, especially if he can dictate the paint area and what he does around the rim, I think that this is the Spurs series to lose. But if he has a couple of off nights, then all bets are off. I just think ultimately you have a player that is that talented. Those type of players usually somehow find a way to win. But that's why you play the game, right? It's not played on paper. As tall as he is, as good as he is, you got to go play. And who was it the other day that just said in that audio, it's just another game? That's what it is. It's another game. It was a hockey coach who was talking about that, wasn't it?
It was Rod Brendamore.
Yep. And just saying, hey, it's another game. You go play, and that's what happens. And I'm excited. I am going to. It took me 3 days or 4 days. I'm picking San Antonio, and you went San Antonio too, right? Or did you go New York?
I think I went New York.
Did you go New York?
I went New York in 6.
I'm
not positive. We have to go back and check the tape.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I think I'm going to – I don't know if I'm going to go 6 or 7, but I do think San Antonio wins the series. I think New York gets a couple of games. I think New York wins twice. So I'm going to go – that'd be 6 games, right? If New York wins twice, I'll take the Spurs in 6. And that's my official prediction. San Antonio wins the NBA Finals in 6 games. And game 1 tonight in San Antonio. Should be a lot of fun. And obviously, we'll talk about it tomorrow as well. What did the month of May, Diesel, show us in the major leagues when it comes to Major League Baseball? Let's do a little May recap. We know how good the Bravos were. What about the rest of the MLB? A MLB May recap. What happened? Who was the best? Who was the worst? That's next. Well, May is in the books. I'm not going to say, whoa, where'd the year go? How do we do that? Because
Can you believe?
Yeah.
It's June 3rd
I
already.
lumped myself into a bad cast of characters on Monday by doing that. So I'm not going to do that again. I promise. But Buster Olney of ESPN has already declared the National League East and the NL West race over. I'm not going to go that far. I don't know. I just can't do it in June. I cannot declare it. The Braves right now, I believe it's a 9.5 game lead they have over the second place team, which is the Phillies, I believe, without looking. But Diesel, I know Bill covers baseball. A lot of people do, a lot of these writers, and maybe he's right. But division leads, division races, as we look at the month of May, I mean, we've seen collapses before of 12 games. You know, the New York Mets are known for the collapse. So I would love to hope that he's right. I just can't go that far yet. Maybe that's my nervousness kicking in.
Well, good thing is the Braves don't play the Phillies. They don't actually play a lot of NL East teams over the next couple of months.
Too bad.
Next 2 months or so. So
I wish they did.
They can't come back on us. Like obviously you'd love to play the Mets right now. You'd love to just keep extending that lead. But no, I mean you don't have to. You don't have to, face the potential head-to-head losses.
You don't want the head-to-head losses. What did the month of May show? What about the Chicago White Sox? I was watching SportsCenter, I believe it was last night. I mean, I know that we follow the Braves and we don't follow Chicago teams, but Chicago's got two pretty good teams right now in the Cubs and the White Sox. Do you realize, Diesel, Tolos, the White Sox are good at baseball? Like,
when they were historically bad, like last week.
Historically bad.
Felt like, at least.
And now the White Sox are a pretty good team. So there are some storylines out there this year, especially when you look at what's happened in the month of May, that make you go, it's okay. It's weird, but we'll see if it continues. Obviously, what happens in May doesn't dictate how the season will start. Shohei Ohtani started his back and forth on the mound and the plate in May. So that was a big thing in the month of May. Angels fans didn't love the month of May, Diesel. Why? They watched their team lose 11 of 13 at one point, including getting swept by the Dodgers in 3 games by a combined score of 31-3. And by the way, Dodgers and Angels are just 30 miles apart, those ballparks. But Bill said on ESPN, Bill only, he said they might as well have been playing on different planets. Dodgers had a great May. You look at a team like the Angels, they went 11 of 13, lost 11 of 13 at one point. So California, obviously, baseball is wishy-washy in terms of how the teams are doing. But you look across the MLB, biggest winners, biggest losers in the month of May. You obviously start with the White Sox, Diesel. To your point about them being bad last week, the White Sox were 3 games under 500. And trailing the first-place Detroit Tigers in the American League Central standings at the end of April. After closing out May with a weekend sweep in Detroit, they entered 5 games. They entered June 5 games over 500, and the Tigers now in last place in the division. So the White Sox are rolling firmly in playoff position. A lot of new names out there, but this is a month of May when you look at what's happened, including starting with the White Sox, that you kind of perk your eyebrows up at, that maybe surprised a lot of people who don't follow the other teams in the MLB as close as they do the Atlanta Braves.
Well, the White Sox, they were white hot for a while. They won 3 straight against Detroit. They won, 3 out of 4 against the Twins. Because they're locked in a series right now with the Twins, and they've lost 2 straight. So, this is baseball. Up and down. I mean, we literally saw a guy bounce a home run off of his head yesterday. Anything weird that can happen in baseball will happen in baseball.
I sent that to a buddy of mine and said, how does that happen? Like, how does that possibly happen? And it happened.
Yeah.
It was real life.
Joe Adell is his name. Joe Adell plays for the Angels.
Gosh.
There was it's a big deal story because he robbed 3 home runs in a single game earlier this year. And he went up for a deep fly ball to catch the deep fly ball. Glove was up. It's kind of over his left shoulder. ball goes off of the heel of his glove, doinks off his head, and goes over the wall.
There's just no way.
How is that a home run, by the way? Why is that not a ground rule double?
It did touch the ground, I guess. I mean, there's just no way that happens.
Ground rule.
Yeah. One more winner before we look at the losers and what else happened in the month of May. The Milwaukee Brewers, for those Braves fans like myself who have tunnel vision and focus on the Braves, and you keep your eye diesel on other teams out there, but they surged to first place in the National League in May, or in the National League Central, in May. They carried the best record in Major League Baseball in the month of May at 19-7. So while all the talk was about the Braves and the Dodgers, they won 1 million games, the Brewers allowed the fewest runs in May, 72. And what's impressive is they did so while hitting the fewest home runs of any team, which is 18. So think about that. Diesel, does that make sense or what? The team that was the best in May, the Milwaukee Brewers, the best team in May, hit the fewest home runs in May. Think about that. Is that not a wild statistic? Hit the fewest home runs of any team in Major League Baseball. They hit 18 home runs, which was the fewest. But they were the best team by record in the month of May. That's a wild stat. That's one of those that makes you think, is that right? Is that a typo? But no, they were the best team, but they did not rely on the home runs to do so. Thank God, because, I remember for a long time people talked about the baseballs being juiced in Major League Baseball, and that's all the conversation was. The balls were juiced. When you have a team like the Brewers, they're the best team in May, but hit the fewest home runs in the entire league, that goes to show. I think that's a good brand of baseball, a good place to be.
It is. It's fun. It's fun to watch. I mean, I love watching small ball. Like, the home run is great. The home run is a lot of fun. It's explosive. They get to shoot off the fireworks. Yeah. It's fun. But I love, the reason why I love it, Cole, is because it seems to, when you're playing small ball well, you can frustrate the other team so much more. Like, a home run is a great swing on a pitch, but having all the pieces in place, being able to move guys around and play small ball well, it just feels like it takes the soul of the other team.
Let's get to the losers in May. Diesel, do you know which franchise has the longest postseason drought right now? The longest postseason drought. If you had to throw a couple of teams out there in the MLB, who would you think? Which organizations would you think have the longest postseason drought?
Longest postseason. I'm going to say like the Baltimore Orioles, maybe. Longest postseason droughts. God, now you're asking me to think.
You mentioned this team in the first segment of the show. Actually,
you're making me think of the most irrelevant teams in baseball.
You mentioned them when we were talking about a certain player in the first segment. We were talking NBA. You referenced.
I already forgot
one certain player, Mike Trout, and the Angels. The Angels have the MLB's longest postseason drought. They haven't qualified for the playoffs since 2014 or won a postseason game since 2009.
Oh, my God.
And to make matters worse, what did the Angels do in May this year, 2026? They went 11-17. They went 9-17 in April. And with 4 months left in the season, they're 23-38. And right now, mathematically, they have less than 1% chance of making the playoffs. So there's nothing that's saving them. Mike Trout's not saving them. Nobody. The Angels in the outfield.
Can I vote that I don't know if he has any personality or not, but can I vote that they make Mike Trout go on TV so that people can rag him for the rest of his life about never winning a championship?
It's bad.
I mean, Charles Barkley, as great as he was, never won one, and they give him a hard time all the time about never winning
all the
one.
Time.
So, like, Mike, if I don't want to let him play out his career, make buku amounts of dollars. I mean, swimming pools full of cash, and then just disappear off into the ether like he was never even around.
That ownership group, it's just a disaster, Diesel. I mean, it's a disaster. I mentioned that series with the Dodgers. In 3 games, they lost 31-3. Think about that. 31-3 in 3 games was the combined score. That's how bad they are. 31-3. And to make matters worse, during that series with the Dodgers and the Angels, the baseball was so bad. The game was in Anaheim. A fan caught a possum in the stands. That's how bad things are in Anaheim, right? I mean, a fan caught a possum in the stands. Nothing's going right.
Wow.
Nothing's going right for them. It's pretty bad. You also throw in, when you talk about the biggest losers of May, Diesel, the New York Mets. And it pains me to say this as you see the smile on my face. Look, you've got
New York not yet.
Right, not yet. They're trying to, the Mets are trying to unstench themselves, I guess, from last year's collapse that we talked about just a few minutes ago. But they've won 4 games in a row recently. But the bad part is that just isn't masking how much of an underperforming team they've been. Yeah, June could be different, but the Mets, you look at the contract situations, the players they're letting go of, the players that you hear could be traded or soon to be free agents. I don't know what the Mets fans have to look forward to, because this is an organization, Diesel. You talk about wasting talent. This organization's had bucos of talent. And now the New York Mets, they just kind of seem like the laughing stock. We were talking about the New York Knicks earlier. Yeah. The New York Mets have become one of the laughing stocks of MLB teams.
And to think, Cole, I almost made myself an adopted Mets fan because when I lived in New York, I lived in Brooklyn, and the Mets is Brooklyn's team. I almost did that to myself.
That'd have been bad.
It would have been.
That'd have been bad. All right, a couple of more hard hitters for you before we run to a break. Most astounding stats of the month of May. I'm going to throw a couple at you here. Most astounding stats. You had a pitcher that allowed 1 run over 38 and a half innings. Mizorowski finished the month with an 0.23 ERA over 6 starts, doing so which he went 5-0, 57 strikeouts, 6 walks, 0 homers allowed. And you look at some insane statistics over the years. Diesel, we were talking about a Braves player out of the bullpen not long ago that had a pretty good ERA. It was 0.00. But Jacob Mizorowski right now of the Milwaukee Brewers, you talking about a stretch where he was just on fire again. 5-0, 57 strikeouts, 6 walks allowed, and 5 starts and 0 home runs. Yeah. Pitcher of the month, National League Pitcher of the Month, as you can imagine. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So you look at what else happened stat-wise across Major League Baseball. Sanchez also had a pretty good month of May. He did not allow a run in 39 innings pitched. So you've seen some really good pitching this year. I know, again, we focus on what Atlanta does, but you're talking about some elite pitching performances, and June could be a lot of fun. July could be a lot of fun as well. I think June's going to be a very telling month for a lot of teams, especially the Braves. But when you look at what's happened between Jacob Mizorowski and all these different guys out there, there are a lot of fun storylines in the MLB this year, and I think this is exactly what Major League Baseball needs.
Yeah, it's you got 2 teams, the Braves and the Dodgers in the NL that are seem to be walking away with this thing. However, Cole, there's some really good teams lurking in the background. You telling me if the Braves matched up with these Brewers in the postseason, you wouldn't be really nervous?
No, I would
about how good they are.
I would be. By the way, the Dodgers. So I'm looking to see now, since you brought them up, the Braves have a 9.5 game lead in their division. The Dodgers only have, a 6-game lead over the Padres.
Yeah, it's
pretty good team.
That's a tough little division.
And they got the Diamondbacks back there too.
Yep.
Winning record. You mentioned the Brewers. They've only got a 5.5 game lead over the Pirates, another team with a winning record. The Braves division in the National League is the worst. They are. 9.5 game lead over the Phillies, who barely have a winning record.
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous about whether or not the Braves have been tested against really, really good whole pitching staffs. We had a chance to talk with Cole, our guest, Lindsey Crosby yesterday, and since we were off the air, we're going to bring it to you at 4:22 Tolos. I asked him, do you get a little nervous thinking that this team maybe hasn't faced elite staffs that they would have to face the entire staff in a postseason series? And he had a very interesting answer. We'll play that for you coming up at 4:22. But when we come back, Cole, we are on Schnall watch. There are multiple conflicting reports from around the state of South Carolina as to whether or not Kevin Schnall is, will be, or may choose not to be the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. We'll try to get through all of them and let you decide what you think is going to happen next. One other, Coastal Carolina is officially out of the postseason, Cole. Everybody's watching Kevin Schnall, not to see if he can rebuild and reload and go back out there and do it for the Chanticleers next year. It's whether or not he's going to be in Columbia.
Yeah.
Putting on that garnet and black here in a couple of days once the announcement finally comes out. Depending on where you look across Gamecock social media today, Cole, it's either a done deal or they're still interviewing other people.
Yeah, and, right now there are probably a handful of people who do know. But what I find most interesting about this is the same discussion we have during the fall when it comes to college football is these coaches have to decide quick, like yesterday. And Kevin Schnall doesn't have time. The transfer portal opened on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
For college baseball. So
would you rather rebuild your old team or would you rather move and rebuild them?
Yeah, look, non-graduate athletes have until June 30th to officially submit their names into the portal, although they don't need to commit to a new school. Graduate transfers are not bound to this window, and they can enter the portal outside of those dates, obviously being a grad student. But if a head coach leaves a program, the players on that roster receive an automatic 30-day window to enter the portal, regardless of the date. So there is a little bit of built-in time. And with this program that we're talking about in Coastal, even though they received that 30-day window, I think the urgency of getting something done, whether he's staying, whether he's going, maybe he's singing that old song, should I stay or should I go? You've got to, in today's age, you have to move fast because these are the best players in the country. They're deciding what they're doing next year.
Yeah. Around 11 o'clock this morning, Alan Smothers of 96.3 ESPN Radio in Florence reported that Kevin Schnall, according to his sources, was expected to be hired at South Carolina, and then an announcement is coming shortly. I would assume, Cole, that's one of the, if not the earliest, quote-unquote, breaking news, and they had breaking underneath it as if it was a done deal, as if it was happening. So at 11 o'clock this morning, according to those right there in the immediate vicinity around Conway, Kevin Schnall's out the door. And then about an hour later, David Cloninger of the Post and Courier shared that his sources said that South Carolina is still talking to multiple candidates. So it's really interesting, Cole, how quote unquote sources close to the situation can have widely different opinions on what's going to happen here. I mean, that is dead opposite of one another between he's settling down versus he's out there dating multiple girls.
And you know what? Like, I'm not saying Alan Smothers is wrong because Brad Crawford picked it up. And look, maybe he's right, but I do trust guys like David Cloninger who have been around that program and those programs at South Carolina for a long time. I don't mean this disrespectful. I don't know who Alan Smothers is. I didn't before today. So I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner. Sure. Maybe he has information that David Cloninger does not, but I just don't see. He is Alan's tied to all things Coastal, and I'm doing some research here on that. So maybe he's an insider guy down there that has a little more info that maybe hadn't reached up to Columbia yet. It does take a little while to get information on the Pigeons up there. But I think you could probably say, wouldn't you go 75-25? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Maybe even 80-20? I don't know. Would your balance be more? I mean, I would go 80-20.
Yeah, I mean, I would put a ton of money with a small return, Cole, on the bet that it's gonna be Kevin Schnall.
Yeah.
I mean, that it feels inevitable. It feels like an easy transition. It feels, obviously, he knows the state. Obviously, he knows how to win. Obviously, he's right there, and it's an easy move for his family. So, it's like if you're a coach at Coastal and let's say Tennessee or Mississippi State or Missouri, one of those programs comes calling, you got to think, man, I got to box up everything. I got to move everything halfway across the country and deal with this. When it's Columbia, you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, and
it's
again,
such an easy transition.
It could be. That tweet this morning said the announcement is expected shortly. That was about 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago. Shortly's
You would think
usually
this
within
afternoon.
5 or 6 hours, right? So we could have some pretty big news if it were to break during the show. And if it does, obviously we'll stop what we're doing. And maybe Alan knows. Look, it happens in programs. I'll say this. If he does take the job, if he's the guy, do I think Kevin Schnall is the end-all, be-all, the greatest thing on the earth since sliced bread? No. But, Diesel, here's what we have to remember. And look, this is I don't mean this is like derogatory manner towards South Carolina. Kevin Schnall is an instant upgrade just because he can't be any worse. They won 6 conference games, 7 the year before. Like, this program, I'm not saying anybody could take the job, but I think there are a lot of coaches out there that would make this job better. Don't be deadbeat, and don't be deadbeat and show up to work, and you're a better job already. You're a better program already. and I know that sounds terrible, but my gosh, 6 and 7 wins, Diesel, in the conference. It can't get worse than that.
I just look at it like this. Yes, he's leaving a Sun Belt conference that's pretty good in baseball, but it's not the SEC. You're going to be facing, instead of facing 4 other really good teams, and there were 5 postseason teams in the Sun Belt Conference this year. Instead of facing 4 other teams, and you might not even face all of them over the course of a season, you're going to be facing postseason caliber teams every single week.
Yeah.
Every single series. You don't get those weeks off. And hey, coaches like Kevin Schnall, they know what it takes to win. So there's always that opportunity. And I know there's probably some of our Tolos who are nervous about Kevin Schnall. You're always nervous when a new head coach.
Sure.
If it was a sure thing, everybody would be hiring him.
Yeah.
Like, if this guy was going to come in and win you a national title within his first 5 seasons, literally every program would be jumping through hoops to hire that guy.
Well,
but my point is with guys like Kevin Schnall, they have the DNA, they know what it takes, but also they're walking in with an instant upgrade in facilities and resources, in personnel around them, and the athletes that will choose South Carolina who wouldn't have gone to Coastal Carolina. There are those players who only want to play in the SEC in big-time Division I programs. I think there's the opportunity to soar with the new digs.
The good news for Kevin Schnall, if it does happen, is this. You ready? At least South Carolina's a very patient fan base. What are you laughing at? They're patient. Don't give them time.
I think Dewey already wants him fired.
Yeah, I mean, he hadn't accepted the job quick enough. Fire him before he's hired, right?
If he doesn't want us, then we don't want him.
No, we don't. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. It's time to turn the conversation from sports to local, past, blast from the past, fun. We need your interaction. We brought this up on the show, and I want to bring it back to the show right now as nominations are now open. We're going to do a bracket challenge, a blast from the past. Tolos will tell you what it is, but we need you. We need you to turn it on, leave it on. Don't go anywhere because we need some heavy participation. And I know a lot of you Tolos are already itching to get in because you've been around the block, per se. We want to hear from you next. Well, maybe the first of many, or maybe the first of several, Diesel, is the summer months. You know, they call them the dog days of summer for a reason. We talk sports. We also veer off of the beaten path, and we go this way. We go that way. Look there. We go that way. We'll go any which way, especially if Rick and Greer calls in, right? Boy, things take a wild turn when Rick calls in.
I don't know about you, Cole. I did not check the local news reports for any kind of fecal fiasco.
Yeah. That was
Applebee's parking lot.
That was one of those phone calls yesterday, and I know we were having FM issues. Thank God we were having FM issues. Like, I was just, thank God, the tower's messed up. We got an internet issue.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord, because that was one of those calls you want to erase immediately. Delete, clear history, right?
If you missed it, Tolos, it's on the stream. It's on the replay that you can find on the free Odyssey app. Rick and Greer was on a different level yesterday.
Oh, so bad. It was so bad. I just don't encourage Tolos to go listen to that, dude. That's terrible. That's so bad. But nonetheless, what am I getting at? Maybe one of our few bracket challenges, some fun things we do during the summer. We mentioned this, brought this up on the airwaves a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, and wanted to go ahead and open nominations. We may do one or two nominations segments over the next couple of days, Diesel, but we love talking food on this show. Our Tolos love food, especially mayonnaise on corn, right? You give me a hard time for that. Other Tolos do as well. It's phenomenal, by the way. But I want to know.
Mexican street corn.
Mexican street corn, that's right.
Delicious.
It's so good. I want to know, as we open these nominations up officially, like officially right here, right now on the 3rd day of June, 4:02, if you're listening in Spartanburg, if you're listening in Greenville, if you're listening in Anderson, or wherever you may be listening on the free Odyssey, iHeart, or TuneIn app, or watching the show, 100 Tolos watching right now, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I need you to participate. I need your input. I need your involvement, because your opinion does matter. Here's the sounder as I turn down the right fader here and turn up the right one. Here is the official sounder as nominations are now open. The boxing bell can start. The air horns can go, Diesel. The best restaurant that no longer exists is the first bracket challenge we do during the summer months, the dog days of summer. A lot of Tolos who are up there in years might have some good ones, maybe that I've never heard of, maybe that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
But I think we can have some fun with this. And Tolos want to hear from you. The phone lines are open. The Joy Law Firm text line's open as well. 844-326-3663. Depending on how many we get will dictate the size of the bracket. Hopefully we'll get a lot. But we want to know of the restaurants you loved going to growing up that no longer exist. And I think, Diesel, we have to be hard on this and say no longer exist anywhere, right?
Right.
You can't be one down there in Georgia, but not here in South Carolina.
Right.
Out of business, closed for good.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay, because I was going to ask, and I know I can't put it on this list, but there was one of my favorite restaurants, downtown Greenville, used to be a sponsor on the station for years, that has that closed down for a little while, but it is about to reopen. I just went out to their soft reopening celebration, talking about Smoke on the Water in Greenville. They're about to reopen their doors, but it's been a while since.
Well, thank God they are.
They're about to. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's good. So they can't make the list.
Doesn't count.
That's right, because they're reopening. That's very new location, by the way. Where?
Right over here on 85, right next to the restaurant row cluster off of Pelham Road.
Yeah, the restaurant row. That's a good way to put it. I mean, it's just a row of restaurants right there. So Tolo's 844-326-3663. I asked Stacy Bartrow across the hall of News Talk 98.9 during the break what her answer would be. She was immediate. She didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about it. I never heard of it. I want to know if you've heard of it. I want to know if the Tolos have heard of it. She said, she lit up like a Christmas tree, too, because I guess it brought back memories. She said, Chi-Chi's. I said, what?
Chi-Chi's.
Chichis. Chi-Chi's. She said maybe it was a Northeastern thing. She's from Maryland. And she said it was a Mexican restaurant. Chi-Chi's. Have you ever heard of Chi-Chi's, Diesel?
If it's, I mean, I gotta Google the logo.
I had not. It is it was a chain that was founded in 1975.
Oh, I know the logo, but
do?
I can't tell you I've ever been to one.
Tex-Mex, chimichangas, fried ice cream. It wasn't like fast. Maybe it was fast. There's no such thing as fast food Tex-Mex, but it was, keyword was, at its peak during the 1980s, the 1990s. It had over 200 locations nationwide.
Wow.
So they weren't like
big chain, yeah.
They weren't like McDonald's massive, but they were pretty big. 200 locations. Right. That's pretty big. So Stacy went Chi-Chi's. She told me that she used to work there, and she had to wear this little salsa dress. And she said, I wish I had a picture, but she said, I don't, for a good reason. They filed for bankruptcy and completely exited the U.S. and Canada in 2004.
That's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I would have never have known Chi-Chi's. So
I was still 3 years away from moving down here in 2000.
Where are you really?
Yeah.
So you were still in North Carolina. You were still up north one state.
Yep.
So I'm going to respect Chi-Chi's. I had never been there. If Stacy, we both would respect what her answer would be. We'll put that on the list. I just don't know. Now, I will say we have a lot of Tolos in the area, Diesel, that have moved down from northern states. Maybe. We have some migration from Ohio. We have some from the Northeast as well. Maybe some of our Tolos in the upstate have heard of Chi-Chi's, and because it's Stacy Bartrow, we'll put it on the rundown, but I had never heard of it. I want to know, Tolos, have you?
Yeah.
Any Tolos that have migrated south? Have you heard of Chi-Chi's? Because I think if you lived up north, the answer would be absolutely yes.
Yeah, I don't think I can't tell you as I've ever eaten at a Chi-Chi's restaurant before.
Wish you did, though, right?
Now I do, yeah.
Wish you did.
Yeah.
Tolos, if you just tuned in 8 minutes ago, we started the conversation. Welcome into the show. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Price. And if you just got in the car or the truck this afternoon, we want to hear from you. A few texts coming in already on the Joy Law Firm text line, 844-326-3663. We're getting nominations for restaurants that no longer exist. Do you have off the cuff, as quick as Stacy did, what restaurant came to mind for you?
This is hard because if it's closed, I probably didn't go there very often, and I was not instrumental in helping keep it open. Because when I find a restaurant I love, Cole, I'll go there all the time. My favorite,
a couple came to mind for me, but I'm still deciding.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm trying to remember the name of it now, but there was a Brazilian steakhouse. I love those ones where they cook the big old skewers of meat and they come by and slice off a piece for you.
Yeah.
There was one of those in Greenville that I'm trying to remember the name of now, but I loved it. It was so good. And that's probably the one that I would nominate, but I can't remember the name of it.
A couple of texts coming in. We're going to get to the phone lines. The first one I would nominate, it wasn't amazing, but a restaurant that I do miss that's no longer with us is Fats. Fats
good
Cafe.
Answer. Good
Fats
answer.
Cafe.
There was one right over here.
Was there?
There was one 2 blocks away from where we are right now. I used to go there all the time.
The poppy seed rolls with the butter was like honey butter or something like that. Really good stuff. Fats is near the top of the list for me. Matt from Ohio on the phone lines wanting to, I believe, put a stamp of approval on one of our coworkers, Stacy Bartrow. Is that right, Matt?
Oh, yeah. Stacy's 100% right. So to kind of put it in perspective, Chi-Chi's was a chain, not to the extent of locations as like an Olive Garden, but like a similar atmosphere for Tex-Mex Mexican food. Real deal. I mean, it was great. And I will say this too. I think that in some grocery stores, you can still buy Chi-Chi's, chips and salsa and some of that stuff. At least I think you still can up in Ohio, but yeah, Chi-Chi's was definitely the real deal as far as Mexican food goes. And it was kind of an upscale place. Like I said, the only thing I can really equate it to was kind of like the atmosphere of an Olive Garden when you go there. You don't feel like you have to dress up, but you don't want to go there in sweats either.
Right.
You know, a decent sit down place, good food, very good Mexican food.
Matt, now I realize you just jogged something loose. Chi-Chi's still sells like tortilla shells, seasonings, salsas, things like that.
Chips and salsa.
You can still get them at the
sure.
grocery store.
Would you
right.
compare it to a Chewy's or no? Have you been to Chewy's?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, Chewy's is great. I mean, I mean, I would say you're probably in the same neighborhood there. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
I love Chewy's. Matt, thank you for the call and the endorsement.
Yeah.
Do you have one, by the way?
Guys,
do you have one of your own?
Keep up the good work. Hey, you guys have already mentioned, so we had my son's rehearsal dinner down at Smoke on the Water down in downtown, and I know they moved out towards like Pelham Road or whatever, but you know, I always thought Fats was good too. I mean, I you know, when we moved down here from Ohio about 4 years ago, you know, you kind of start to learn, okay, what do I like, what do I don't like, and we used to go to a Fats in Gaffney, believe it or not, by that outlet mall.
Yeah.
And Fats was good. I mean, I always enjoyed that. I mean, I'd say that's definitely one of them.
Near the top of the list.
How many Fats, Cole? Maybe you know the answer to this. Appreciate the call,
Thanks, Matt.
How many Fats did we have in the area? I can think of at least 3. I know there was one in like the Clemson Easley area.
I bet there were.
Obviously, I know the one.
I bet there were
Gaffney,
a dozen.
one here.
I bet there were a dozen. We had one on Highway 9 in Boiling Springs. There was one over at the old Waccamaw for those that know the Spartanburg area pretty well.
And how did they close?
They
were huge.
Yeah, I don't know if it was bankruptcy or what it was, or if the guy got on Ozempic, maybe. The guy who started Fats got on Ozempic, and you had to close down because he's skinny now, right? It's skinnies instead of Fats. They did close down around the time these GLP. I'm just kidding. That's terrible. No, I would say close to a dozen.
Hey, they say there's a reason why people are not like flocking to the gyms on New Year's because everybody's on Ozempic.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say even maybe more than a dozen. I can remember just 3 or 4 offhand in Spartanburg where they were. There used to be one over near the west side of Spartanburg near Westgate Mall, one on Highway 9,
everywhere.
One near the old Waccamaw. Matt mentioned the one in Gaffney. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. You said there was one right here.
Yep.
On the undisclosed location of where we are on the moon. There probably were more than a dozen. I miss them.
I've got one for you, Cole.
Okay.
It wasn't as big. I don't think as Fats in the upstate, but there were like, I know of at least 4 or 5 locations. Chiefs Wings and Firewater.
Yeah, those one in Spartanburg.
I love Chiefs. Is it still there?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. I'm putting it on the list. Can we?
It's done. It's done. They've closed down.
Chiefs was great.
You know that this station, maybe it was the one across the hall when they were still on the other signal. Was it 106.3 or what? Yeah. We talking about a blast from the past. I saw a picture the other day. We used to do live remotes, the Burns Coaches Show from Chiefs in Spartanburg.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah,
you were here.
I love that Spartanburg store. I did remotes over there for like March Madness, and we used their like Pop-A-Shot games on like free play where we would have challenges to win prizes.
Yeah.
I think one of my first ever live remotes once I became the night show host on the planet was at the Chiefs in Anderson. The one in Greenville, I was there all the time. And I remember when we used to go down and do remotes at Toyota of Easley. We would get, normally we'd bring pizzas from Papa John's, but there we would always get wings from Chiefs because it was across the road.
Yeah.
And we would just have all the sales staff just flock to our table and just pounding wings out there in the heat. It was fun.
Old Chiefs. It's been, I saw a picture. It was Lonzo. There was somebody else. I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
It was back when Bobby Bentley was the coach, when Chris Miller was the coach at Burns. They did coach at like on a weeknight during football season. So yeah. Old Chiefs, that's a good one.
And there's a guy that Chris Miller used to do the night show on Classic Rock 101.1. RIP to that station. He was a DJ at Chiefs Wings and Firewater in Greenville. I remember him because he used to working Women's Wednesdays at Chiefs.
Wow, how about that? Let's see here. I'm looking at a few more. TOLOs, by the way, if you just tuned in, 844-326-3663. The question is, we're taking nominations for restaurants. Your favorite restaurant that no longer exists. I saw one nomination online for Steak and Ale. Do you remember Steak and Ale?
Steak and Ale. It sounds familiar.
I don't remember it that much.
It sounds familiar. I don't know it.
What about Planet Hollywood?
Do we have one of those here? We never had one of those here. I mean, there was one in Myrtle Beach, I would assume. Right?
Let's see. Let's go to the Joy Law Firm text line, 844-326-3663. Let's start down here. Brandon Burnett gets in. He goes, Quincy's. He says, Quincy's was my favorite growing up. I miss that place so much. Them rolls, good. God, the big, I think they were the big
like round buttery rolls.
Buttery rolls.
That's good stuff.
Corn Chip says Ryan's, the buffet.
Any restaurant that brings out that little charcuterie board with like 3 different kinds of butter.
It's good stuff.
You got me the blueberry butter, the ones that put like cinnamon butter out there.
That's fancy there. We had a Ryan's in Spartanburg. I always loved Ryan's. I miss Ryan's. It's a hibachi buffet now, but Ryan's was...
That's so funny because the one on Woodruff Road became a hibachi buffet.
Yeah. Ryan's was elite. I know it wasn't fancy or anything, but I loved Ryan's.
I grew up, Cole, going to a restaurant called Sagebrush. Before that, it was Western Steer.
Yes. I remember that.
I don't know if we ever had any here in the upstate.
No, I remember Sagebrush.
As one of those places you could throw your peanut shells on the floor.
Yes. I'll throw another one out there, a local one for you before we get back to the text line. It used to be in Greer. It wasn't a chain, but it's closed down now.
Okay.
The Strip Club. Really good steakhouse. Not the strip club you're thinking of.
Not the one that I worked at.
No. Really good steakhouse.
As a DJ, get your minds out of the gutters.
Yes. That one was a good one. A lot of Tolos would probably agree with that. Let's see here. Texter.
Texter says, "Oh, Charlie's."
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Charlie's.
We had one in Spartanburg.
Yeah.
Sure did.
There was one over by the mall on Haywood Road.
Texter, this is Matt, I believe. He said, I just thought of one after I hung up, guys. Did y'all have Ponderosa steakhouses down here?
Ponderosa. I've heard of Ponderosa before, but I don't know if Greenville ever had one.
I'd never heard of it.
Do we have any Tolos that have lived in Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Easley, Greer for a long, long time? Did we ever have a Ponderosa?
I never. Again, I've only lived here 30 years. I don't know about a Ponderosa. He says they were one of those restaurants that had the salad bar that had many non-salad items. So maybe like a Peddler, the Peddler in Spartanburg doesn't anymore, but they still have the salad bar. I love the Peddler, even though they're not a sponsor, they should be. The Peddler had the salad bar where it were a lot of the non-salad options out there. I think the one in Greenville still does, by the way. Oh, Charlie's was good. Oh, Charlie's was really good. Michael from Greenville gets in. He says, hey, guys, welcome back. Yeah, sorry for the issues yesterday. He says Steak and Ale, Tanner's Pete on Pendleton Street near Greenville High School. Have you heard of that? There's a Steak and Ale. So there's the second Steak and Ale reference.
Double nomination for Steak and Ale. Tanner's, is that like the Tanner's Big Orange restaurants? I mean, I know there was one of those downtown, not downtown Greenville, but it was on like Pleasantburg, I think.
Yeah. A lot of texts coming in. We're going to get back to the text line. Guess who's on hold?
Is it Rick?
Dewey.
Oh.
Dewey, are you there?
Yeah.
What is your nomination for your favorite restaurant that no longer, I can't wait to hear this, that no longer exists, Dewey?
No longer exists. Well, they closed Whataburger on Woodruff Road.
God. There's a million. What water did he call it? Water.
Yeah, I think the one in Malden's probably going to close too. Like, there's never anyone in.
No, there's never. But I think they're a big enough chain to support. Wait, which one did they close? You said, Dewey?
On Woodruff Road.
Did they really?
AAA place.
Didn't it just
already
open?
Closed? Yeah, it's only been. I don't even know if it made it a year.
Like right here.
Yeah, right down there.
Oh no, yeah. I didn't know that.
That's bad.
Well, let me tell you this: the one on Highway 9, there's never anybody there. The grand opening, people just flock, and Whataburger. The problem with Whataburger is Whataburger. People in Texas obsess over it because they grew up with it.
Right.
Same thing with us.
Overpriced.
Yeah, it's a little pricey.
Well, everything's overpriced these days.
I didn't know that one closed down already on Woodruff. That's crazy. I remember me and you talking about it when I opened.
Well, there was like 2 weeks there where they were opening a new store every day. So many new stores. I think they way too many, way too fast.
Okay. Anything else, Dewey?
Yeah, they closed down the Chinese restaurant, the Chinese buffet on Woodruff Road, too.
Well, there's a million
They
other ones to
closed
choose
down.
from. So
Which one? The one that used to be Ryan's or the one that was 2 blocks down the street?
Oh, Ryan's Steakhouse. They closed that down, too, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Ryan's usually go in there and get steaks and baked potatoes and then the buffets, but then Quincy's is another one because you get the big fat yeast roll.
Dewey, did you happen to hear Rick's phone call yesterday? I know you and Rick are BFFs. He had a pretty strong claim yesterday on the show. I just want to know from you, Dewey, why were you being so loud inside of that Applebee's that made Rick do what he did?
Well, I don't know, because Rick is stupid. I was not at Applebee's.
Oh, okay.
So
Thanks,
I don't know
Dewey.
what he's talking about.
Appreciate the call. Big T gets in. He says Shoney's. Shoney's was a good one. I used to eat, oh, man, what Shoney's was it? There was one that was, we used to go somewhere. It was always on the way to somewhere, and Shoney's was a really good one. It was kind of similar to Ryan's.
Yeah.
All-you-can-eat buffet. And you know what separated Shoney's? I think that separated them. They had a great all-you-can-eat breakfast. All-you-can-eat buffet breakfast.
We used to field trip to Shoney's in like one of those, summer programs at your elementary schools, like essentially daycare.
Yeah.
But we would go to Shoney's like maybe once or twice a summer and go to their unlimited buffet. Oh man, I used to chow down on some Shoney's sausage links.
Let's see here. Any text that we've missed? Texter said, "Oh, Charlie's." Michael, Kyle, Samuel said Steak and Ale was located on North Pleasantburg Drive. I remember that one very well. Texter from the 803 gets in and says, what about Fat Boys? There are still a few in random locations like Hawaii, Vegas, and Waynesville. Okay, can you think of 3 more random locations to have restaurants? Hawaii, Vegas, and Waynesville, North Carolina. Like, what in the world are we doing here? Texter says, but there used to be one in Columbia that was pretty popular. No, I'd never heard of Fat Boys. I've never heard of it. I mean, that's too similar to Fats for me. Too similar. So
there's Fat Boys, there's Bob's Big Boys, and Bob's Big Boys are everywhere up north.
I've never heard of that.
Matt from Ohio will know Bob's Big Boy like crazy because they were everywhere.
Wow. And then Stacy said Chi-Chi's. I'm gonna go. I like the Shoney's. I'm also gonna, put a stamp of approval on Ryan's. I was a big Ryan's fan, but Fats is one that I miss.
Josh Babb on Twitter watching right now says I miss Fats.
Fats is a good one. I don't know why, by the way. I'm sorry. None of my comments are loading on my computer on StreamYard. So if there have been comments, I do apologize. I'll hit refresh. turn and play like he's played over the last week or so? What does that do to this Braves team that was already really good?
Great to be here. Thanks for having me. I feel like at this point, your expectations not only should be higher, but the pressure on the front office should be higher. You were 40-20 without much of anything from Ronald Acuna Jr. outside the last 4 or 5 games, right? He had just a couple of home runs, wasn't hitting, wasn't slugging the way that you expect him to be, wasn't playing great defense as we saw in Cincinnati, and yet you had the second best run differential in baseball and the best record. So now that Ronald, if he is back and he stays back, your expectations have to be, we need to do everything we can to supplement this roster to push for a World Series. This team is continually in a contention window, and they will continue to be after this season. But you need to go figure out and take a critical eye. What do we need? Where do we need to get better so that we can have the best possible chance of getting past LA in the National League or whoever else might be in there and win a World Series for the second time this decade?
So, Lindsay, to that point, and it's Diesel here. Appreciate you taking the time to join us. To that point, what do the Braves need to get better so that they can get past the Dodgers? Is it better starting pitching? Is it more depth in a fielding position? What do you say?
Shameless plug, I wrote a newsletter just this morning over at BravesToday.com a little bit about the pitching question. I think you do need to identify who are your 3 playoff starters. I remember interviewing John Smoltz, and he told me you need 3 hot starters, 3 hot relievers, and 3 hot hitters when you get to the postseason. I think we know the relievers are great. I wouldn't mind adding another high-octane arm, but you've got a great bullpen. I think you can find 3 hot hitters between who you have, but again, I wouldn't mind supplementing that group. But when it comes to 3 playoff caliber starters, we know Chris Sale, if he's healthy, is one of them. Is Spencer Strider going to be there or not by the end of the year? Is Hurston Waldrop going to be there or not by the end of the year? Spencer Schwellenbach's planning on coming back this season. Will he have time to get back in that form by the end of the year? I feel like making a trade for a starting pitcher and that impact starting pitcher AA talked about all offseason, a guy who can start postseason games for you, that is critical if Atlanta wants to ensure they have the best possible chance of getting through the gauntlet of the postseason and making it to the World Series again.
And you know what? I think, Lindsay, I agree with you. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine this morning that's a Braves fan. And I told him, I said, I think this team is definitely a World Series contender. I don't know if they have the starting pitching to go win a world championship. And I think there's a large majority of people out there that agree with what you just said there. Even though it's been good this year, we just don't know what it will look like 3 to 4 months from now. Is Spencer Strider, or has he shown you enough thus far? I know he's coming off an injury now, but has he shown you enough, if you're a Braves fan, that like if you do make a postseason run, you feel good about that guy helping your team make a World Series possibly?
The surface numbers say no, right? The home runs he's given up, some of that stuff. But if you dig into it, if you kind of dive past the results and you look at the process, because you can't control the results, but you can control what goes into it, right? He's allowing a lower hard hit rate and a lower batting average than 2023. His fastball does not have the same velo. He's not averaging 97, but it's got the same fastball shape that he talked about was such a problem last year when he returned. He's not getting the exact same whiff rate on the slider, but he's added that curveball, and that curveball has the same whiff rate now that the slider had in 23. I think he's a more complete pitcher. I believe that he is going to get there. The problem you have right now is he has such a small sample size. Like, he's had 11 sliders put into play. He's had 11 curveballs put into play. So 1 or 2 big hits makes it look like he struggled with that pitch, when in reality, he just got unlucky once or twice. I think he can get there, and you've got, luckily, a month or 2 to figure it out before the trade deadline gets here. My question is, who's your third guy? Do you trust Bryce Elder? I don't know if you do yet.
Talking to Lindsey Crosby of Braves today. Lindsey, injuries notwithstanding, from a purely baseball perspective, how would you grade some of Walt Weiss's lineup tinkerings thus far? I'm talking about moving Drake Baldwin to DH and putting Sean Murphy back in. Obviously, we know both of those guys have gone down. How about inserting Ha-Sung Kim back in favor of Mauricio Dubon? Like you were saying earlier, Waldrop and Schwellenbach coming back at some point this season. Also, Strider not really crisp and looking like himself right now. How would you grade all of the moves that have put these guys back into the lineup?
It's really hard for me to find much fault with Walt Weiss, right? It's like, hey, you have this beauty queen and she's wonderful, but like her second toe is longer than her big toe. It's like a really tiny, tiny little pedantic complaint. I will say, we saw this last series in Boston where you faced all these lefties. And so you didn't have your normal kind of DH plan where they were using Eli White and Jorge Mateo at DH. And I kind of thought that would have been a good opportunity to do a half day for a Ronald Acuna Jr., put White out there, let Ronald DH, let Ozzie DH for a half day, put Mateo at second, things like that. But that's really probably the biggest complaint that I've had so far. Simply because Walt Weiss hasn't shown that he's, for instance, married to the idea of Ha-Sung Kim starting every day. Kim has really struggled to come up. Walt Weiss told us that they've been doing some stuff with him in the cages and things like that, working on his timing. And so Jorge Mateo's been hot. We're going to let Jorge Mateo play for 5 straight days. And he's rewarded you and he's delivered. So for the most part, I'm happy with the lineup decisions and the playing time decisions. The one thing I have is, he talked about not having a full-time DH for load management. And then we haven't really done that load management outside of, I think Ronald got maybe 1 day at DH, 1 or 2 days at DH this season. None for Ozzie. Kind of wish they'd rotate a little, couple more guys in those situations. And outside of that, I'd love to spot all of it.
Drake Baldwin, Lindsey, Walt Weiss speaking to the media, Mark Bowman reporting that he could be back for the next homestand. How would you say they've managed that with him being injured? I mean, he's had an incredible year. I mean, from the surface, it looks as if, maybe here and there, the Braves have dropped a little bit in some metrics, but it seems like from the surface, the Braves have managed him being out of the lineup pretty well.
Yeah, the one place it's really hurt them has been in that lineup versus lefties. To the question a second ago, he was the primary DH against lefties, and it was a smart move to keep his bat in the lineup. That's really where they've struggled because they haven't had anybody to take that over. But outside of that, I feel like it was a good mix of we're not going to ride him too hard. There was 1 or 2 days where they put him at DH against a righty simply because they didn't have a stretch against a lefty there. I think Baldwin's a special bat. I think he's a special talent. And I think the Braves understand we need to do whatever it requires to get him into the game as much as possible. I don't want to say that him playing every day is what caused the oblique issue because we don't know that for a fact. But I do appreciate them trying to balance. We want to keep him in the game with we want to keep him healthy. Hearing that he could come back in a couple weeks is kind of the timeline I expected from an oblique injury. My hope is that a little more time than the minimum lets him not have a recurrence of that issue. Wyatt Langford of the Rangers went down 3 different times last year with an oblique injury because he came back before it was done. So my hope is that this is enough here for him to be healthy the rest of the year.
Lindsey, in the rare instances this season when this white-hot hitting Braves lineup has been shut down, thinking about Game 1 against Miami, I think it was Game 2 against Boston, they just couldn't get anything going. Who is sort of the catalyst for getting these guys turned back around and turned back on? Is it coming from Walt Weiss? Is it coming from other players on the team? Is it coming internally from each player? I mean, who's sort of acting as the psychologist to get these guys back to turning around quickly when they've had a bad game?
The joke is it was Drake Baldwin. He was the reason that it all went poorly because he was hitting so many solo shots. The thing that I've noticed is when they seem to struggle with the pitchers that kind of have a wide arsenal. They throw a lot of different pitches and they don't have any set tendencies. And so when you see them go out the next day and be successful against a different type of pitcher, that really makes me feel that it's a Tim Hires thing. Tim Hires is the one helping them develop the hitting plans for each individual game, each pitcher they're going to face, and him being able to say, hey, yesterday was a tough day. Just through 6 pitches, we couldn't game plan for anything. This guy has a much more defined and limited arsenal and sequences. We can prep you for what you're likely to see. Like tonight, Kevin Gausman. If you're a lefty, he throws fastball splitter 94% of the time to you. If he's behind in the count, it's a fastball. If he's ahead in the count, it's a splitter. First pitch, it's about 50-50. So be ready, right? That kind of preparation, and we see them come out after a loss and do really well, makes me think a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is Tim Hires building them a game plan to get them back into the flow of things as quick as possible.
Well, to Diesel's question, I can tell you the one game I went to this year, Lindsey, 2 Saturdays ago, the Braves said, hey, Cole's coming to town. Let's get one hit all day against the Nationals. And, boy, I was just riveted. I was so excited to see that, as you know, as a diehard Braves fan. Let me ask you, where are Braves fans now? He's playing better. Where are the majority of Braves fans, in your opinion, on Austin Riley?
I think a lot of Braves fans are still at the point of not believing it until they see it for an extended period, right? It's a situation where he'll have a great game, he'll do something big, and then he'll turn around and he'll have 2 bad games in a row. And when you dive into some of the numbers, he's been better in the month of May. June is traditionally his hot month. Like in the month of May, he was better than he was in April, simply because it was hard to be as bad as he was in the month of April again. I mean, being honest. But he wasn't bad in the month of May. And so I think a lot of Braves fans, they're cautiously optimistic that he's coming out of this. But at the same time, they're going to have to see it for a couple weeks and not just a couple games before they start to really buy it. Because, and he's even alluded to this in interviews, he has a great game or 2 great games in a row, then he has a terrible one and takes a step back. Yeah. And he's just looking for consistency. He said that himself.
Just a quick follow-up to that. Has he talked much about like the consistency? And I think I even asked you this a month or 2 ago. I just maybe it's different level of play, but this guy we've seen at this level, he can do it. He has the best spring training ever. But it's not like it's only happened in spring training. It's happened before at the major league level, like against the best arms. What's the diagnosis on this guy right now? Because he had the best. I mean, based on what he did in the spring, Lindsey, we thought going into the season, this guy, I mean, he's fully back.
I think a lot of it in spring came down to, one, a little bit of a competition level, right? He did a lot of that at home. And I think in retrospect, we maybe didn't appreciate not facing the same caliber of players from a road spring training lineup as a home spring training lineup. But I think a lot of it, too, comes down to his mechanics. He lost his personal hitting coach, Mike Brumley, a couple years ago. And the thing that's always kind of plagued Austin that Mike Brumley was very good at doing was something in his mechanics being out of whack and Mike identifying it and getting him back on track. And the Braves have picked up on some of those same things, and they've worked with him on, he's dipping his shoulder, he started his load too early, like that kind of stuff. But it takes longer for Atlanta to pick it up than the guy that worked with him for 10, 15 years, right? Yeah. And it's taking longer for Atlanta to implement those changes. And then when he starts to drift again, figuring out what the new issue is and working on that. And a lot of guys have this struggle where they just struggle with mechanics really their entire career, and it's a battle to stay locked in for as long as possible. Austin is just mentally going through it right now, which doesn't help when physically his mechanics are a little bit off. So I think they're going to fix this. I think it's going to be soon. It's getting better, but we're not there yet, and we need to see more before we can feel like he's okay.
At Braves_today, at Crosby Baseball is where you can find and follow him on Twitter. Lindsey, you talked about the Braves struggling with pitchers that have a lot of different looks. They're winning series right now, which is the goal in baseball. Obviously, win series, but they're winning it against weaker competition. The Reds, the last place team in the Central, the Red Sox, last place team in the AL East. A couple weeks from now I think is when the gauntlet really begins. Brewers, Padres, Cardinals, all teams that are really, really good. So looking forward 2 weeks to the next month ahead. Do you see them facing the kinds of pitching staffs that could harry them for more than one game?
I think some of the schedule is going to work out okay. They'll face Pittsburgh over the weekend, but Paul Skeens pitches this week, so they'll miss Paul Skeens.
Thank God.
Yeah, they are going to have individual guys they're going to have to face, right? They'll face Pittsburgh again in July. I'm sure they'll get Skeens. When they face Milwaukee, I'm sure they'll find a way to face Jacob Zerowski. That's what always seems to happen to Atlanta, right? But I think the good news is a lot of these teams are strong teams, right? St. Louis is having a good year. Chicago, like the White Sox, are having a good year, but they're not doing it driven off of the pitching. I think the schedule is going to work out where they're not going to have to face too many really tough arms until you get into that back half of the schedule, and then you start facing, you face the Yankees and you face some of the teams that have loaded staffs, the Dodgers again. So I think they'll be okay, and they've gotten better against some of those, I'm going to call them junk baller guys. They're not as bad now as they were early in the season, but they're figuring out ways to get it done. But I think your schedule is going to be okay. You face teams that are really good offensively, or the teams that have parts of a good rotation, but Atlanta's not going to face all of those guys. I think they'll be okay.
Lindsay, last question for you. Shane on the YouTube stream, he's a big Auburn fan. He says, Lindsay, first, War Eagles. Second, what do you see as Auburn's greatest challenge in the super regional? I don't know how much you're following on the college baseball front.
I was actually in Plains and Parks press box just about all weekend through all those rain delays.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do think part of the biggest challenge you have to face is just the weather and getting these games in. We saw so many rain delays over the weekend all across the country, all these different regionals. But this is going to be a pitching versus pitching matchup. Auburn will host Ole Miss. They did not see Ole Miss in the regular season, but two teams with really good pitching staffs, offenses that can come alive, but have been a little inconsistent. So if you're a fan of pitching like I am, it's going to be a really great regional, super regional in Auburn. And then I'm just excited to watch a lot of these other super regionals around the country because these are some fascinating matchups. St. John's is in one. Troy hosts for the first time ever. It's not all power conference teams. It's some really smaller teams, some fun teams. Cal Poly gets a chance, although they have to play at 9 a.m. Pacific, which is not fair to them. But some fun matchups here.
Lindsay, we're here in coastal Carolina territory. We're actually about an hour, 45 minutes outside of Clemson, but a lot of the conversation is that Kevin Schnall might be headed to South Carolina. He ruffled a lot of feathers when he went after the Tallahassee regional. Florida fans started coming after him. Do you think if he gets the job at South Carolina, is he going to fit in perfectly among the other soft baseball coaches in the SEC, those who love to pick fights with one another?
Listen, he was. I really enjoyed watching him last year in that super regional when they played versus Auburn. I think he's a great fit for where he is. I think moving to South Carolina is a terrible idea, simply because I honestly think Coastal's a better program than South Carolina is.
Yeah.
And that's not just SEC hate by me, right? That's just, I don't think South Carolina is a very good program. They don't have the investment. They don't have the facilities. I'd rather him stay at Coastal, but if he goes to South Carolina, it's good luck, I guess. It's going to be a tough fit. It doesn't feel like it's going to work. His thing feels like it works at a place like Coastal, not at a place like South Carolina. So we'll see what happens, but I don't have high hopes for that.
Lindsay, you're the best. Always appreciate your time, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Lindsay Crockett.
to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, an abbreviated edition of our Daily Wires. I like that. Running a little low on time here, but it's okay. 5 o'clock hour just around the corner. Sports Talk Media Network reported this morning per Alan Smothers of 86.3 ESPN in Florence that Kevin Schnall is expected to be announced, the new head coach at South Carolina. Nothing official yet. Hadn't seen anybody else report that either. I did see Brandon Dunn reported that Kevin Schnall did interview yesterday with South Carolina. So that'll be very interesting to see when and if it does unfold. North Carolina State versus Virginia, week 0 will no longer be played in Brazil. The game has been moved back to Virginia's campus.
Hey, score 1 for the way it ought to be.
Wonder why? Do we know why? Is not good condition. What's going on in Brazil?
Great question.
Interesting. Let's see here. After getting out to what felt like a commanding 2-0 lead, Diesel, the Hurricanes let the Knights blow out the party candles, coming back to win 5-4. I mean, it was a disaster. I at one point looked. I got home late. They were winning, and just like that, that lead went.
It's my fault. I jinxed them because I texted you. I said Canes in 5.
Oh, what were they up at that point?
They were up 2-0 at that point, and it looked like they were whooping ass.
You did. Let's see here. The Atlanta Braves are off to a 1-0 start in their 3-game series against the Blue Jays. They won last night 4-3. Bryce Elder was good. The red-hot Braves started off with 2 runs in the first inning. Raciel Iglesias got the save. Matt Olson went yard. Ozzie Albies, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. And tonight, last Daily Wire tonight, this is a big one, Diesel. The Greenville Triumph opened their new stadium at GE Vernova Park in Malden in your neck of the woods. Yeah. And how cool is that? The Greenville Triumph, brand new stadium right here in the upstate.
I hear it's going to be an absolute bleep show. Trying to get into,
you think so?
Like, you're not going to be able to park there. If you're not there already, you're probably not going to be able to park there.
What time's the game?
I'm guessing 7:30, 8 o'clock. I hadn't looked it up on the schedule, but
you're going.
I'm going to go over there after the show. They're parking people at Malden High School and shuttling them over to the stadium. It's going to be big, man. It's like a 4,500 seats. Permanent seats, and then they can add another like 1,500 standing room. So 6,000, a little more than 6,000 plus.
That? Yeah. Nice weather too.
Yeah,
not too hot. Just a beautiful night on this Wednesday. So Greenville Triumph, stand up if you are going to the soccer game tonight. Let us know on the Joy Law Firm text line.
I'm a Malden resident, so I got to go check it out.
Yeah, you're required. They sent you a notice and said, hey, because you live in the city of Malden, you have to attend. So
unfortunately, I didn't get free tickets in the mail though.
No. Stinks.
When we come back, Cole, Nick Saban, one of the biggest voices in college sports, even though he's no longer in college sports, is testifying on behalf of college sports. Nick Saban went in front of Congress, Cole, to testify about the Protect College Sports Act. We had some conversation about it last week. We'll play you some of what Nick Saban said in front of Congress, and we'll debate about it next. Cole, we have debated the merits of the SCORE Act. We have gone through the bullet points of the Protect College Sports Act. I don't know which one of these has more legs. I don't know which one might get off the ground a little bit faster. Maybe there are good points in both that should sort of be combined into an all-encompassing, wider-ranging bill, law, eventually, hopefully, that will help protect college sports. But we went last week through something that Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Cantwell from Washington State put out there called the Protect College Sports Act, which would essentially turn the clock back on a lot of the changes that have happened since NIL broke out of Pandora's box. The SEC and the Big Ten just released a joint statement on the Protect College Sports Act. They unfortunately, Cole, kind of reject it out of hat, I think is the statement, is the saying. It said, quote, the Big Ten and the SEC support a sustainable national framework for college sports, one with an effective transfer portal, clear eligibility standards and protections and benefits for student athletes. While we appreciate the leadership of Senators Cruz and Cantwell in pursuing these shared goals, we do not support the Protect College Sports Act as drafted. The bill leaves critical issues unresolved. It does not meaningfully preempt the patchwork of state laws or provide the protections needed to make and enforce consistent rules, both essential to long-term stability in college sports. It also shifts ongoing rulemaking to Congress, limiting the ability to adapt quickly as the landscape evolves. It continues on from there, Cole, but I think right there we've just found exactly why the Big Ten and the SEC do not like this bill.
Yeah, and you know what? It's big on so many different fronts. And Nick Saban, you mentioned, was testifying before the Senate committee today in Washington, D.C., and we've seen pictures, we've heard videos already. We've got some of that audio to play during the segment. But this is and could be monumental, Diesel, when you talk about the future of the sport. And when Nick Saban admits that he's concerned and like he opened today by saying, I could use a little bit of that Cuban coffee because I didn't sleep much last night because of this hearing. And what it all comes down to for Nick Saban and others, even though I believe there's still a big gap, we don't have guiding principles for the future of college athletics. And that's what Nick Saban is trying to do if it can get passed to allow some sort of legislation to be that, the guiding principle. Because guess what? Whether you love NIL or hate NIL, whether you love the portal or hate the portal, whether you are for it or against it, I think we can all agree that we do need some sort of guiding principles for the future. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of what he brought up today it's very, very scary and impactful.
I think where a lot of people miss the forest for the trees, and this is more of a social media commentary. Anytime some new sweeping legislation gets introduced that's going to fix everything, immediately everyone's reaction is, no, this sucks. We can't do this. But that's not really how bills become a law. Do you ever watch Schoolhouse Rock, Cole? You know how that how a bill becomes a law? The bill makes its march up to Capitol Hill, and then it gets discussed, and it gets debated, and it gets changed, and that's how things sort of get agreed upon. That's where compromise happens. No law ever gets passed in the exact form it was when it was a bill, when it was originally introduced. Maybe hearings like this, and Senators Cruz and Cantwell were in the room when these happened, maybe hearings like this help provide information of how they can say, all right, we sort of got this framework wrong in our original draft, and we can change it to be more advantageous for this group or less harmful to that group or whatever it may be.
So what concerns me about the process that you're talking about there, about how a bill becomes a law, there's a couple of things, but number one, the bill has to be introduced, right? Yep. We all know that. But what does concern me right off the bat is after the bill is introduced, Diesel, there has to be a committee review. And normally you have committee reviews that specialize in things like taxes or agriculture or something related to whatever, defense, right? And in this case, I think because it's new, you know what I mean, on Capitol Hill, new to the sense of sports bleeding into the political world. I don't know that like I've told you a million times, it's hard to feel like we can trust that the right committee will be there to either approve it, amend it, reject it, ignore it. And then you obviously debate and vote in the first chamber, and it works its way up. You said it. It's great. I think we all commend Nick Saban for getting it there, but you go from the first to the second chamber, maybe reconciliation if needed. There's just so many layers it has to get to.
And look, we're all frustrated with the political process, as we've heard that, some law gets passed and somebody snuck in at the last minute, hey, we're going to fund this thing, and we're just going to kind of slide it in there on page 412, and no one's going to notice, but it's there now, so now it's got to be funded. I am a little concerned, Cole, at what may happen as this thing continues to be drafted and redrafted and looked at in a myriad of different ways. Yeah. I'm concerned at this point, and again, we're going to play some of this Nick Saban audio here in just a second. I am nervous that thus far we have heard absolutely nothing from any of the G5 programs of the world that have been hit really hard by the transfer portal and by NIL, that have been really hampered in a way. I mean, there are really good G5 programs that are struggling to keep the lights on right now because the cost of doing business has just gone up astronomically. And as soon as they find and develop a good player, boom, he's out the door. A lot of this feels very self-serving to the major conferences, and the Big Ten will get what it wants out of this. The SEC will get what it wants out of this. The Big 12 and the ACC, they have the most money and influence to lobby for what they want out of this. So as we turn the clock back on some of the things that negatively impact all of college football, I'm curious as to how there may be protections put in place for literally all of college football, not just those top 50 programs.
Yeah, and how many federal judges are going to try to shut it down? I mean, that's the reality. I mean, how many times do we see that happening nowadays?
It's true.
With a federal judge. I'm still livid right now. Just this morning, I can't stand a federal judge. Let me tell you why. I'm going to go way off sideways for a second. Federal judges can shut down anything. So President Trump signed an executive order for red snapper. See, I went red snapper fishing last year, and there are only certain dates, like 2 dates of the year in South Carolina, you can keep them.
Red snapper's good.
And it's so good. Well, you don't keep them like twice a year. Mm-hmm. Well, the president extended that. Guess what? Got the federal judge today. Bam. Nope. Denied. No more. No more. You can't fish for red snapper. You can't keep them. My point being, federal judges, their job is to just shut things down and be a pain in the you-know-what. Like, they're not – what's a federal judge good for?
It does feel a lot of times like the right group can pick the right federal judge to put this bill in front of to know that it'll get shut down. It's like what we talked about yesterday with having a judge in Lubbock, Texas, being the one deciding whether or not Brendan Sorsby will be eligible. Of course he's going to rule he should be eligible.
The judge just don't get – you pay a lot of money to go catch red snappers and you can't keep them? Well, what are we doing here, Judge? You must not be a fishing guy.
Well, I guess you got to go down to Georgia. Got to go down to Louisiana if you want to catch your red snapper.
Got to go down to Louisiana. This one was this applied to the South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, 4 or 5 states.
Are they endangered?
Debatable, so they say.
So let's hear a little bit. We're not going to play the whole clip. It's because it's 11 minutes long. This is Nick Saban in front of Congress talking about the need, obviously, for protecting college sports.
Can you make sure to turn your microphone on? Thank you, Chairman Cruz. I could use a little of that Cuban coffee because I didn't sleep much last night worrying about this testimony. Ranking Member Cantwell and members of the committee.
When was the last time Nick Saban was nervous to be in front of anybody?
Testify. And I really want everybody here to know that I'm not here to represent a conference or a team, but to preserve college athletics as a whole. I think we all have to ask ourselves a question: what is our guiding principles for the future of college athletics, including Olympic, women, and non-revenue sports? I've spent my adult life in college athletics. I believe in it. I've seen young people come in the program, need structure, need discipline, need coaching, need academic support, need accountability. And I've seen them leave with a degree, a career, a family, and a better chance to be successful in life. I think the current system that we have in college athletics right now makes it more and more difficult to do these things. We've moved away from development to focusing on money and not life skills. So to put this in perspective, if you had the biggest, baddest Ferrari that you could ever have, and it was going 150 miles an hour toward the Grand Canyon, somebody needs to tap the brakes. And I think that's what we all need to do here.
I like it.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to veer a little away from my testimony and just give you some examples of, things that I think people may not know that are happening in college football that are huge problems. First of all, I think student athletes should profit from name, image, and likeness as long as those things are authentic endorsements. They create branding for themselves. They sign with the company. They do promotions. I think these things are all healthy for their education as well as their quality of life. I think name, image, and likeness has become pay for play. I said 5 or 6 years ago when a school that I'm not going to mention who didn't do anything wrong had what is called a collective. A collective is an organization that raises money basically from alumni to be able to pay players and disguise it as marketing opportunities. When a school did that, the first school that did it, I said, is this what we want college football to become? And I got really criticized for that, but it has become that. And
I'm glad he used that term called disguised, and he used the word disguised in front of the right people. Like, you can say, hey, this is not what NIL is supposed to be, and you can say it online and you can be right, but somebody obviously will always argue it. But I think you have to use the right terminology in front of the right people. Collectives have always been designed specifically to give cash to kids to try to get them to come to your school.
Sure.
That's exactly what collectives were there for. When a random fan, like, you're a business owner, Cole, I'm not. If we both give money to our alumni associations or to our NIL collectives, you're not giving money to get a player on your favorite school to endorse your security company.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
But you can disguise it as just a way to put money in your quarterback's pocket. And Nick Saban called that out.
Well, I like it. And I think when you hear him speak on these things, yes, we know these things to be true. Yes, we know most of us are aware of the issues. But what I appreciate that Nick Saban, at his age, is still like devoting the last part of it, not the last part of his life, but the last part of his career.
What is he, terminal?
And the last part of his career. The last part of his career to this. And he doesn't have to be doing this. He could be off on an island, fishing, eating oatmeal cream pies and enjoying his life perfectly fine. But the fact that he's doing this, I appreciate. I respect it. He doesn't have to be doing this. And when you hear people like him talk about these things, some of those things that he said in that opening statement, like, that's why so many coaches got into coaching to begin with. And I think when you look big picture, something that we really aren't talking about much, people are now in this sport for different reasons, and not just this sport, but all sports, for so many different reasons. The motive behind why a lot of people are in it today is a sad, sad reality.
And we're in a world, Cole, where a lot of coaches are getting out of coaching because they got into coaching to help improve young people's lives.
Yeah.
Like what he said, skills, opportunity in the future, et cetera, et cetera. They got into it for that reason, development. They didn't get into it so that they could help a kid create a sneaker brand or an Instagram handle and get a lot of views. That's not why they created it. This is a long clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing again. It's about 11 minutes long if you want to go find it on social media. I think there's two really interesting clips here, Cole, and I've broken these out. Here's Nick Saban talking about how quickly NIL has accelerated and roster costs have accelerated. And he goes into the negative consequences of what will happen if this continues unchecked.
Let me give you the history. My first year we had collective at Alabama, 2.7 million. Next year, 7 million. Next year, 10 million. I retired. Next year, 17 million. Next year, 24 million. Now you have schools that have close to $40 million rosters. So if we continue to do that, We're going to lose Olympic sports. We're going to lose non-revenue sports. We're going to lose scholarships. And basically what's going to happen is you're going to have football and basketball succeed, and we'll have club sports for everything else.
Yeah. The fascinating thing about that is $2.7 million the first year at Alabama is probably what middle-of-the-road G5 programs have available now.
Is that not wild, Diesel? That was not that long ago.
Right.
That number has just skyrocketed.
Really fast.
Woo! What's it going to be in 10 years?
Right.
Yeah.
Are we? 10
when
years.
Does it stop?
It might be. It might be 5 years from now, 2030, 4 years from now. We might be talking about $100 million.
Don't
rosters.
People eventually run out of money? Like, don't people eventually say, "Hey, I'm not spent like this." Like, oh my!
I look at donating your money to a school for a collective is like kind of like buying NFTs. You're not buying anything real. You're buying a digital image or a digital piece of music or whatever it may be. It's not real. It's in the Wolf of Wall Street terms, it's a fugazi, it's a fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's fairy dust. It's not real. It's never landed. Mm-hmm. So you would think, and hey, Melissa Level told us they got into the NIL space and they said, you know what, it's not worth it. Yeah. But there are a lot of people who still think it is worth it to keep throwing that kind of money around. Here's one more clip where he talks about tampering and how bad that's gotten.
Now we have this unbelievable number of players that get in a portal every year, and we have nothing to control agents. We have nothing to control tampering. You know, Clemson had a player that was on campus for a whole week, and they come and got him off the campus and took him someplace else. So these kinds of things going on in college football are absolutely not what any of us signed up for relative to the educational institutions that, you know, we've all tried to represent.
So he's spouting a lot of the things that this bill already seeks to curtail.
Yeah.
And I hope that the other people who are in this committee meeting, they are people who are going to be involved on the redrafting and the reworking and the bartering on this deal. I hope they get a sense of how important it is, because if you just talk about it from a 10,000-foot view, I don't expect a Republican senator from Wyoming who's focused on water rights and clean air and he's got poverty in this county. And I don't expect him to think about all of this in the kind of detail it takes to understand why it's so important.
Yeah, and look, I do think that the overarching theme I took away as a college football fan is you and I in the college football world, when Nick Saban speaks, we listen. Mm-hmm. And what you just said there, that concerns me a lot too. When that random whatever from whatever state, that does. I mean, that's a big concern. It's a space they don't live in. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of these bills, Cole, kind of the SCORE Act, which they were supposed to vote on it twice, never did.
Right.
I think those things fizzle out because you don't have the impact, the weight of someone like Nick Saban coming in and saying, this is crucial. And it's not because football is in trouble. Football is not in trouble. Football at the biggest stage, at the biggest schools, is never going away. But he's talking about all the other sports that will suffer because of this. And are we doing this? Are we doing college athletics only for football and basketball players, or are we doing it for the rugby players and the field hockey team and the tennis teams? We're doing it for all of them.
Well, no, he's right on that. I mean, you talk about a conversation that's not even brought up, the other sports.
Yeah.
It's an important piece of it. And I think he's right. Club sports on the way.
You know, I was annoyed at Kirby Smart. This was from the SEC spring meetings when he basically, it sounded like he was going down that path of we've got to protect Olympic sports. But then he also turns around with the next breath and says, well, the SEC is going to break away.
Yeah.
Well, so which is it, Kirby? Are you in favor of supporting all athletes, or are you in favor of doing what's selfishly right for SEC football?
Goes back to motive. When I say motive, what's your motive? What's the reason you're, and all of these different politicians, they've got different motives as well. They've got different interest levels. Some people probably think, oh, what are we wasting our time talking about this for? This is stupid.
Yeah.
But to Nick Saban's point, somebody who got in it for the right reasons and made such an impact. I mean, I hope you asked the question just now. Was Saban's voice or you said maybe Saban's voice will be enough. I hope it is. But let me tell you this. There's part of me that asks, I don't know that it will be. We need Saban's voice. We desperately need.
Yeah.
Will Saban's voice be enough?
Nick Saban coached in 10 college football national championship games. He won 7 of them. If this voice is not enough,
there will be none.
And maybe they needed to parade Dabo Swinney in there as well. Maybe they needed to parade every active head football coach that's won a national title. Bring them all in and make sure everyone knows exactly how the coaches that have actually won something. I don't give a rip, really, what the Akron coach thinks. If the Akron coach thinks, hey, we should let these guys have $1 million each so that they'll all come and play football at Akron. No, you need the voices of those who know what it takes to win at the highest level the right way. And fans, people on social media, they're bagging on Nick Saban. Oh, you made all this money. Well, yeah, he also won 7 national titles.
Yeah.
I mean, he earned that money over the course of his career. He wasn't making that in his first year as an assistant somewhere, or his second year, or his third year, or his probably 10th year.
Yeah. It's you could spend hours on this. You could spend hours on it. It's alarming. We know how important the issues are, and I just hope, man, from a fan standpoint, that Saban's voice can be enough, because a lot of what he's saying, I think he's hitting the nail on the head, if you will, and we'll see if it is enough.
Yeah. It's been very lopsided, though, from what I've read. It is a little more lopsided to turning the dial back to where it was, rather than making it sort of a compromise that also doesn't punish student athletes going forward. I think that's going to have to be a big component of that. How do we make it so that we're not just turning it back to the good old days for colleges and make it advantageous for everyone? Because cat's already out of the bag. There's no putting that toothpaste back in the tube.
Before we get to the phone lines, I did want to get to this news here in the 5 o'clock hour from earlier today, Diesel. We didn't get to this in our daily wires, but some Clemson news locally. Class of 2027 cornerback Bryant Robinson has committed to Clemson. He tells Rivals earlier today, 6'3", 190-pound cornerback from Frisco, Texas. He chose the Tigers over Arizona State, Texas Tech, and Arizona. So Dabo's hot streak, I guess, his momentum on the recruiting trail continues as the Tigers continue to load him up. Also, a recruiting note earlier, about an hour ago, South Carolina offers Jayton Briles. If you maybe think that name is familiar, he is the son of Gamecock offensive coordinator Kendall Briles. So offering the kids, continuing that, obviously, Coach Furry, who's on staff down there, his son, Stone, he's on the roster as well, continuing to offer. And look, I'm not saying it's nepotism or anything like that. Hopefully they're good players and can impact the program. Let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. Dan B wants to weigh in on a conversation from earlier in the show about our restaurants that no longer exist. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, but I will jump on the stuff you're just talking about. At $40 million being what the top of what some of the colleges have right now, if given the ramp up of that number over the last decade or less, however long it's been allowed, you're going to end up with some college teams that have higher rosters than, say, NHL teams or some of the lower baseball, MLB teams. Mm-hmm. Like that, just that thought alone is just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and this money, Dan, is going to unproven athletes. That's the big thing that nobody talks about. This money is going to high school seniors who are making their way in as freshmen.
Right.
It's not going to a coach that won a title or a quarterback that won a title last year. Some of it is, but the majority of it's going to players that haven't won a damn thing at this level.
Right. And I mean, where's their motivation at that point? I mean, the motivation in college was to get to the NFL. Now it's just to make a few $1 million in college and move on.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have a lot of players that aren't. So why risk their bodies to injure themselves when they can already be millionaires in 4 years? Like,
it's wild. It is wild, scary place.
Yep. To get to the restaurant things, again, it cut out the audio on the stream. Unfortunately, right as my name was mentioned, so I don't know, but decently answered my question. But anyway, I looked up a bunch. So we'll start with Shoney's. There's still 50 around, including 3 in South Carolina. I know that name got brought up.
Yeah, where so can they I don't know if they can make the list if there's still 50. Where are the 3, do you know?
Florence, Hartsville, and Manning.
All lower state kind of ish.
Well, Florence is more like directly, isn't that west?
You're right.
Anyway, and it's Darlington. It's where Darlington is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up was Bennigan's was one of the ones I listed, and yes, they still exist, even though it's a lot smaller than it used to be. So I guess we got to cross that one off. There's about 10 to 12. I don't know where they are. The Fats they are all gone, and we used to have one right when I moved here in 2020. I think it had just closed down, but it's right there at exit 17 of Interstate 26 in Newcut.
Yeah, where the old High Point is. High Point Academy.
Yeah, right there. Yep. Next up, we got Chi-Chi's, which did go out of business, but they reopened one in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. So
wow. So there's one.
So
wow.
Can we put that on the list? I think it's still fair.
Yeah,
because it's nowhere near coming back.
Yeah.
They do plan to expand across the Midwest and East Coast, but that's going to be years. So I feel like Chi-Chi still belongs on the list.
I feel like the vast majority of their money is made in stuff that you could buy with the Chi-Chi's brand on it at your grocery store.
No kidding. Yeah, no kidding. Which it's actually decent. I've had Chi-Chi's salsas and those tortillas.
I hadn't had them.
They're not bad.
Okay. Chi-Chi's.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite of either, but they're okay. The Chevys that I had mentioned, it was called a Fresh Mex. I doubt there was one ever here, but they are in the Northeast. There are still some that exist, so around Maryland and DC. So I don't think that can count. Let's see, who else do I have? Steak and Ale. I believe there are still some Steak and Ales, or is it just the one? Shoot, it might just be the one. It's similar to Chi-Chi's. There's one, and again, it's in Minnesota. So I think Steak and Ales could be on the list because I've been there, the one in Jacksonville. I remember going there. So
Chi-Chi's. Old Chi-Chi's. Yeah. I like it.
I can't tell you I've ever been to a Steak and Ale. I know the name, but I don't think I've ever been to one.
I don't think I have either. I do.
It's okay. Have you ever been to like an O'Charlie's?
Yeah.
Okay,
like that.
It's a higher end. It's almost a higher end version of that.
You know what? I think I've been to one in Vegas. Now that I think about it, kind of fast food, kinda, or no?
No, it's sit down.
Is it? I don't know.
I'm looking at photos right now. They look like it looks like you're in Helen, Georgia, with the architecture.
Oh. Steak and Ale, blast from the past.
Good stuff, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, you guys.
All right, let's go to college football. We're already in college athletics world. A good piece I saw earlier today asking the question on what the ACC is going to look like. Clemson, one of our local teams, obviously we cover the ACC and follow it. What the ACC is projected to look like this fall in 2026. We'll dive into it next. What does the ACC have in store 2026? Obviously, we keep our eyes very closely on the Atlantic Coast, the Atlantic plus 2 Western or West Coast teams Coastal Conference, right? What would that be? Atlantic plus, so it's the
APCC.
APCC?
APCC.
APCC. Atlantic plus, right?
Or just the All Coast Conference.
So weird. It's so weird. So, look, if you're a fan of a team in the ACC, Diesel, life hadn't been as boring lately. Like you've had in football, a conference has produced irate affiliate member. You've had a thrilling national title game run, right? We had some very strange tiebreaker results, 11-win seasons for a couple of teams, a very disappointing team, an epic pro to college faceplant. 18 of the 38 best games of the 2025 season involved ACC teams. The number one pick in the NFL draft indirectly, and some really interesting news. So the ACC has been easier to talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know what happened in 2025. Miami was very good. They played for a national championship. SMU was 9-4. Louisville was 9-4. Virginia was 11-3. Clemson was bad. Georgia Tech went 9-4. But I think when you look at the ACC this year, you have a team that we're going to throw in there like Notre Dame, whose SP plus is projected at 25+8. Miami expected to have a good season as well as Clemson and Louisville. Miami, Notre Dame leading the way, no surprise there. But among actual ACC teams, only 7.1 points separate second place Clemson from 10th place Duke, and no team is projected so low that there couldn't be a lightning in the bottle type run. So when you look at these projections for 2026, what you're seeing is, I don't want to say chaos, and maybe not even a logjam, but of course we know who the favorites are going to be. But I think the ACC entering 2026, and maybe this is good for the conference, feels unpredictable, which could be a good thing for the future of the conference.
Yes and no. It's great if a blue blood of the conference unpredictably wins the conference. You know what I'm saying? Like if Florida State comes back out of nowhere and is really good this year, or if Clemson comes back out of the preseason projections, middle of the pack, to be really good this year. I think for the national narrative perspective, if it's Wake Forest or if it's Duke, and I'm not projecting what those teams could be this year. I'm just picking random examples. If those teams, if North Carolina comes out,
yeah.
I mean, maybe UNC is different because it's Bill Belichick and they would have that little bit of a story behind them. But let's say it's Georgia Tech. If those teams come out and win the ACC, people will just inevitably say, "Oh, the ACC was weak. It was awful. We're not themselves." It would be basically the same narrative we had last year. The ACC, I think, more than most other conferences, they need the champion to be one of Clemson, Miami, or Florida State. If it's not those schools, the national narrative will not respect them at all.
You also throw James Franklin into the mix. Obviously, a very interesting storyline there.
Story
would be the entire conference. Diesel is bringing back between 49 and 62% in returning production. So again, what I think that shows is there might not be huge advantages. Logjam, you could use that term. And there are still going to be some teams that surprise us, like you said, and Notre Dame and Miami, we know that they're going to lead the way when you look at all these preseason polls, and maybe SMU's up there as well. Scheduling's also important. What do we talk about every year with the ACC and Clemson and this team and that team? For example, Miami avoids two of the league's other projected top 30 teams. Mm-hmm. And it will take another couple of considerable upsets for the Hurricanes to fall short of a title game bid. The standings could get messy. They've got a quarterback coming in. You look at some of these games, in-conference games of 2026, SMU at Louisville, a team with Jeff Brom that's continued to be consistent. We know that there are a lot of people think that they will be and have them nationally ranked heading into the season. And I think that conference hierarchy will establish itself pretty quickly. You mentioned earlier in the show, Virginia, North Carolina State. That's week 0. That game moved from Brazil back to Virginia. You have SMU at Louisville September 19th. So it won't take long for us to see some of these matchups. October 3rd, Miami at Clemson, right? And how big of a game that could be. Virginia Tech at Clemson on October 24th. James Franklin, his first team. Can they get that far into the season, Diesel, where that game against Clemson still matters tremendously? And then on Halloween night, Clemson at Florida State, right? Clemson, I think it's interesting. A lot of people are labeling Clemson as the ACC's hinge team. Either they'll make a run back to the ACC title, or they'll help determine who does make a run instead of Clemson. So, and again, being a hinge team, I don't think is where you want to be, right? But I think that the conference going into the season, when you look at the quarterbacks that transferred in, like Darian Mensah, we know that was one of the biggest storylines in the offseason, right? Alberto Mendoza going to Georgia Tech from Indiana. There are some interesting storylines, and I think that you brought it up. It could be good, it could be bad, and what the big bad Notre Dame does as well certainly will be interesting. But I think the ACC going into the season could be in a fun place.
Notre Dame is such a bad partner for the ACC. Oh. The ACC gave them a home when they needed a home and gave them all the benefits of being in a conference without actually being in a conference. Look, I mean, I'm not here to shame anyone's marriage. There are people out there who like being in open marriages, and we're married to one another, but we're allowed to see other people. That's exactly what the ACC has provided for Notre Dame. They're a bad partner because do you really think that Notre Dame, if they go on a run and they make their way into the semifinals, the finals, or win a national championship, do you really think they're going to be beating their chest and thanking the ACC and shouting out the conference that they're taking advantage of? No, it'll all be about how great Notre Dame is.
Stepping out, or what? Open marriage. Open marriage. I like that. Notre Dame, the ACC, a weird open marriage, isn't it? It's just weird. And I guess there's no such thing as a normal open marriage, but maybe for some people, but we'll see. It could be a lot of fun. A lot of these transfers in, what NC State looks like. They got a couple of good linemen in the portal. And these storylines could be fun for the ACC. Can Miami repeat? Mario Cristobal, 5th-year Diesel, projected to have a big season. What happens to the Hurricanes with a guy from Duke coming down to Miami? It's going to be fun.
Hey, Rich Eisen said it. Don't yuck someone else's yum. If that's what they're into, don't be making fun of that. When we come back, Cole, let's hear maybe the best piece of audio you'll hear all day. There was an unfortunate accidental dropout of play-by-play audio for the first goal last night in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and it sounds incredible. And I think we need this as an alternate stream. We'll play it for you next. Cole, I happen to think that play-by-play announcer Sean McDonough does a fantastic job calling NHL hockey games. I think he's great. He does a really good job keeping it level until something happens, and then boom, he gets loud and explosive, and it's really,
Sean
compelling.
a lot.
Unfortunately, Cole, he has taken a lot of strays today, and it's not his fault. Last night, the Carolina Hurricanes versus Las Vegas Golden Knights Stanley Cup Finals Game 1 happened, and it was being broadcast over the air in Indianapolis. And for some reason, granted, like, technical issues can happen in a myriad of ways. We had a big technical boo-boo yesterday, and we were not on the air. But somehow the video made it to WRTV in Indianapolis.
Okay.
But the Sean McDonough microphone audio did not. So they were treated for the first couple of minutes of the game. I don't know how long it took them to fix this. They were treated to just the sounds of hockey in the crowd. The in-arena sound. The ambiance. And it sounded incredible. So it only took like 30 seconds, 30 seconds for the Hurricanes to score the opening goal. Didn't help them because they eventually lost the game. But this is what it sounded like. Imagine Sean McDonough on top of this. But this is what it sounded like just off of the in-arena microphones. Does that not give you chills?
It sounds like a video game, in a way. It's kind of peaceful.
It's nice.
And I like having the announcers, but it's way different. I like it. I'm for it.
It's good. It happened really quickly. Breakaway. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head who scored that opening goal. But you hear, and we're listening to like a kind of a crappy compressed audio version of it. It sounds bigger. It sounds louder. It sounds more explosive. I mean, I love that sound. I live for that sound of a breakaway long touchdown run or a bomb, 60-yard bomb touchdown pass. It's amazing. I would love, because there's like 1,000,001 alternate streams out there when you want to watch a game, especially like a Super Bowl. I would love to have an announcer-free stream. What do you think?
Yeah. And I know sometimes they do like the Sky Cam.
Yeah.
But I don't know that you get like the same audio in that Sky Cam version as you get with what you just played. Because what you played, I mean, that is cool. I mean, I'd be interested to see how many people watch it. It's different.
I think it only works in hockey in a really, really fast-paced game. But it also, obviously, it only works for like moments. It works for the goals. It works for a huge hit. The whole game, God, could you imagine sitting through a 4-hour football game with no information, no announcers, no additional analysis? I mean, there's a lot of analysis that I could leave. Like, take it or leave it. I could leave it. I don't want to watch a Sun Belt game and have them talking about the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear that.
Turns into a show.
It's a commercial.
Yeah.
It turns into a big old fat commercial. But I thought that was a magical thing.
I like it.
Sean McDonough, like I said, he was on the call of the game, and without him, he's getting all this crap, and people are bashing him in the comment section. Sean McDonough sucks. Sean's great.
Well, that's not Sean's fault, was it? I mean, how was it hit?
It's not his fault that the mics went out.
I was going to say.
But now people are saying, well, Sean McDonough was on the call. I like the version without Sean McDonough. Ergo, Sean McDonough stinks.
I just don't believe people would listen to the entire game like that. I think some people would. But I think some would prefer to have the announcers. It's interesting, though. It is interesting. That was a cool, it's like you said, the ambiance, the silence sometimes.
It was accidental, but it was great.
Yeah. I hope they feel the same way and don't fire Sean because of it, right? By the way, we listen to the fans on Twitter. He's fired.
Yeah.
No more. Let's dive into the NBA Finals. I don't know if you know this or not, Tolos. The NBA Finals begin tonight. In fact, 8:30 p.m., just over 2.5 hours. The New York Knicks will take on the Spurs. San Antonio at home, favored by 4.5 points. Jalen Brunson and his team versus Victor Wembanyama and his guys. Let's dive into it right after this break on the Fan Up Stage.